Okay, thanks very much, Jitendra, as our timer. Thank you very, very much. As you know, in Toastmasters here, especially in this Toastmasters Club, we encourage you, this is a very family-friendly type of Toastmasters Club. We encourage members to bring their spouses, right, Victoria? Thank you for bringing David. We have a lot of members. Sometimes we have siblings who are members. But we also have, occasionally, over the course of the years, members who bring their children on a regular basis. We've definitely encouraged that because, you know, let's face it, sometimes mom is working or she's busy with the kids at home. And so Dad, thank you, Dad. Dad says, okay, I'll take care. I'll bring the child. And, you know, I know as a child growing up, one of the greatest delights for me was to go with my dad to where he worked. He would work on weekends. He'd work during the day, weekdays as well. He worked like 7 days a week. But so he would take me with him to all these things, and I got to be with the adults. It was probably the best part of my life growing up as a kid. And I know our next speaker does that always with his daughter, his lovely daughter Lillian. She's going to be a very important part of our speech today. He's also doing project number 2. I already read out the speech objective, so to save time, I won't repeat that. The title is Pink Dress and Pink Shoes. Should I introduce both of you, Mike and Lillian? Mike Hubbin and his daughter Lillian.
Good morning.
Good morning.
China is a great country, not the least of which is because of its dedication to the educational system. I've taught there twice and it's wonderful. I tell other teachers who I work with that if they ever get the opportunity to teach in China over the summer, conversational English, they should jump at the chance. Teaching in China for the summer was like dying and going to teacher heaven. It was wonderful. Students were great, parents were great, China was great, food was great, everything was wonderful. The story I'm going to tell you today is about education and about a young lady who wore a pink dress, pink shoes, had a pink purse, and a pink bow in her hair. When I first taught in China, I was assigned to a school in Xi'an, where for most of us we know it as the home of the terracotta soldiers, but it's also the ancient capital of China. It's associated with Qingshi Huang for the soldiers, also the site of Wu Zetian, the first Chinese empress. And the school that I was in was wonderful. They took just great care of us. And they would house us, feed us, take us out on tours. They would take us in the city. They would exchange money. They would translate. And occasionally they would let us walk the streets and just figure things out on our own. And this is what happened one of these days. I was, for those of you who know Xi'an, I was by the Big Goose Pagoda. And near the Big Goose Pagoda, there's a main street that goes by, walking down by myself, and I see a girl up ahead of me, dressed in a bright pink dress, pink shoes, wearing a pink purse with a pink bow. And she really stood out. Young girl, looked to be about 15 or 16, looked like a Chinese Barbie doll. So cute, stood out from everybody else. As I'm walking down the street, she is walking towards me. So being a New Yorker, I try to avoid anything at any cost. So I sidestep, and she compensates. And I sidestep again, and she compensates again. She is making a beeline towards me. So eventually, she comes face to face with me, and walks up and says,
"Excuse me, does my dress match my shoes?"
and I said, what an odd question to ask me, but I said, yes, your dress does match your shoes.
Do my shoes match my purse?
Second weird question, especially being a New Yorker. And I said, being the goodwill ambassador I am in China, and I really want to not offend anybody, I said, yes, your shoes do match your purse. And then she said,
does my purse match the bow I have?
okay, this was it. And I said, your bow matches your purse, matches your shoes, matches your dress. And with that, I said, now that we have nothing else to match, now's my time to get out of here quickly. So I look around for a place to go to, and I see a man about my age walking towards us. This is not good, being a New Yorker. Nothing is good about this whole thing. So he he's coming, she's looking at him, they're smiling, then they both look at me, and as he gets to us, she looks over and she says, "This is my father." I said, "Your father?" She said, "This is my father. I'm a student, an English teacher, student at Xi'an Foreign Language University. She wants to be an English teacher, and a requirement for the students is to learn phrases and to go out into the public and practice phrases with the general public. Find an American," and I stick out like a sore thumb. So she came up to me, wanted to do this. She asked me, "Do you have a few minutes to practice my English?" And I said, "Wonderful, this is fine." So we talked, we spoke, shook hands. Afterwards, she walked away. Her father, very thankful, shook my hand, and they both left. And as I walked away, I said, "This is wonderful." I've never heard of this, because we tell our students, first thing, our new students when they get here to America, don't talk to anybody. and here to have people learn the language, they're saying, talk to anybody who speaks the language. So I'm walking down the street, I'm just on a cloud. And I said, "I have my dictionary." So I pull out my dictionary, and I knew no Chinese at the time. And I said, let me think of a phrase I can think of, and I'll walk the streets, I'll do the same thing. So I start going through the dictionary, and I see, "现在几点钟?" What time is it? So I'm there and I'm practicing. 现在几点钟? 现在几点钟? 现在, and I think I have this down perfectly. So I walk up to the first person, I say, 现在几点钟? They look at me like I'm speaking French. I go to the second person, 现在几点钟? Doesn't even know what I'm saying. But I figure this is not bad. 1.6 billion people, if I embarrass myself in front of 2, this is not bad. So I went on to more people, and I finally went up to some guy and I said, 现在几点钟? And he said, 1点半钟. And I said, "Oh, this is great, he knows what I'm talking about." So from there, I got better and better and better. So I went back to my dorm, which was provided for me, had dinner, which was provided for me, had nice conversation with the great students, which was provided for me. And I went through my dictionary and I learned more phrases. So that led me to lead to learning streets and learning directions and learning times and learning more money. And I went back out on the street, and this was absolutely wonderful. So, can you believe I just lost my train of thought? And so I went back out on the street, and as a result, I cannot believe I just lost my train of thought completely. Where do I go from here? Okay. So I went back out and I continued to do this. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because when we learn a second language, it's not easy for us. No language is easy. And we have to make that extra effort. And doing this was critical for me because I had a very difficult time with languages. And so what I really want to pass on to you is that when you are walking the streets now, and if you're walking down the street in New York, happen to see, and we see it all the time, someone comes up to you and says, "What time is it?" Be polite, speak clearly, try to be friendly, try to be a goodwill ambassador, and remember the girl who wore the pink dress with the pink shoes and the pink purse and the pink bow in her hair. Thank you.
Lillian, thank you very much, Michael. Let's hear it again for these two. And we'll take about a minute or so. Please jot down something on your sheets there for Michael.
Lillian did debut Toastmasters.
Yeah, she did a great job.
Give her a CC medal. 1 minute.
Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you, Jitendra. Thank you all for jotting down comments. Before we introduce our next speaker, just want to comment that we have a slight change on the agenda. The title for our next speaker, it says it's all about me, but there's been a slight change in the title. The title should now read, this is going to be a bit of a long one, but it's a complete concept or thought. There is no such thing as a positive stereotype. There is no such thing as a positive stereotype. Our third speaker is doing the speech from project number 3. That's the third project. When you join the Toastmasters, you'll get the new member kit. It will include 10 speech projects. The first speech project is a given. It's a speech about yourself, the icebreaker. But then projects 2 through 10, again, the topics can be of your choosing, but each project, each speech has as its purpose the development of a particular skill